It seems that Pokémon Legends ZA has fixed the biggest issues with Mega Evolution. Now, before you attack me for one of two very different reasons, the first being, what do you mean fixed Mega Evolution? Mega Evolution was awesome, it had no problems, why are you taking it away from me? I wanted it back and I'm happy, so leave me alone. That's fair. And then there are also people on the other side going, well, Mega Evolution is totally unbalanced, it can never be fixed, we don't want it back, why did they do this? Also fair. And we are going to address both of those. Today we're going to be talking about the biggest problems with Mega Evolution in its former state, and how Legends ZA seems to have fixed that. But before we get into it, make sure that if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe down below so that you don't miss any of the new upcoming content. And if you want to see me live playing Pokemon, you can follow me down on Twitch as well, the link is in the description. So let's get into Legends ZA fixing Mega Evolution. So before we get into how Legends ZA fixes Mega Evolution, we've got to talk about the problems with Mega Evolution, and these are some widely recognized issues. Number one is that Mega Evolution is centralized around a core group of Pokemon. The starters, the legends, and other Pokemon that got it in X and Y, Omega Ruby, and Generation 7. After that, we haven't gotten new Mega Pokemon, but when we did, you had to be using one of these few Pokemon to be able to Mega Evolve. And not every Pokemon got a Mega Evolution, so if you didn't like the Mega Evolution options you had, you were kind of limited. The other thing was that Mega Stones were very hard to obtain. In Generation 6, you could only get a handful of the Mega Stones before the League, and honestly, when the core draw card of the game was that you could Mega Evolve into these super powerful Pokemon, it doesn't make sense that Mega Stones were that hard to obtain, because I wanted to use the Mega Pokemon. I wanted to see what they could do. Don't restrict me to only a couple of them. Yes, Mega Lucario is cool, Mega Charizard, Y and X, and Venusaur were awesome, but like, I want to use the others too. Let me use the others. Rant over. The third problem with Mega Evolution was that you could only Mega Evolve once per battle, which means you could only Mega Evolve one Pokemon per battle, and when you had multiple Pokemon on your team that could Mega Evolve, it meant that you had to pick which one you were going to evolve in every battle, or you had to pick one Pokemon to be your Mega Evolution Pokemon for the playthrough if you could only get one or two stones, which kind of took away from the fact that, you know, the games were all about Mega Evolution. So not being able to use the Megas you liked, and not being able to use them often, was kind of a letdown. And the last issue is that Megas are terribly unbalanced in competitive. Not only do they get a 100 stat boost to their BST, but the good Megas with already high base stat totals were just better than the bad ones, because you get a Pokemon with BST of up to 780, and that is ridiculous. Why would you not use a Mega Rayquaza instead of a Mega Ordino? Because there's just that much of a quality difference. So in competitive, Megas were very unbalanced, and going up against a Mega Pokemon if you didn't have the right answer for it meant that you just lost. Here's the good part though. It looks like Legends ZA has given us some answers to that, and given us some solutions. Let's get into what those are. Number one, ZA does introduce new Mega Pokemon, and we've gotten Mega Dragonite confirmed. It seems unlikely that we won't have Mega Starters and Mega Gen 6 Starters, so that's at least 7 new Mega Pokemon coming in. That doesn't fix centralization though. What does fix it is that ZA's battle system is completely different to anything we've seen in the past. It's real-time battles, which means that that stat boost that your Pokemon gets will make battles easier and will make your moves stronger. But it won't necessarily mean that you can just steam it all through with one of the Mega Pokemon, and it won't mean that your Mega Pokemon is the only Pokemon that's viable to use in certain situations. So the new battle system of having to actually run around, use moves, decide in real time how you are going to play, means that Pokemon that can't Mega Evolve may be very viable, even going up against Mega Evolved Pokemon, because of that different battle system. Going on to the second one with the Mega Stone obtainment methods, well, we don't know anything about that yet, so I can't answer that, but I'm hoping that they've done something about that, because I would really like for Megas to be more accessible, particularly in a game that's focused on catching Pokemon rather than just battling them, where the battle system is actually tiered around how you react in real time rather than the turn-based things that we see in normal Pokemon. Speaking of the battle system, one thing you may have noticed in the trailers when they show Mega Pokemon now is that there's actually a timer for Mega Pokemon, which means Mega Evolution in these battles is not a fixed thing, one and done, you Mega Evolve and then that Pokemon stays Mega Evolved. You actually have to fill up that Mega Evolution button like similar to using a terrestrial Pokemon in a raid, and then that Mega only lasts for a certain amount of time. Whether that means we'll be able to use multiple Megas in one battle, I don't yet know because we haven't got confirmation, but it would be really cool if you could switch out your Pokemon, bring in another one, fill up the timer, and then Mega evolve that new Pokemon so you could use multiple Megas per battle. Again, these are not core battle mechanics, and that's sort of the point. Legends EA is not going to be in Worlds this year because, well, it won't have released yet, and next year we will probably have Pokemon Champions being played at Worlds, if not for 2026, definitely for 2027. And this is the key. If you've seen Pokemon Champions trailers, the thing is that we are going to not only have access to Mega Evolution, but Terrestrialization, and I'm assuming Dynamax as well, and Z-moves, maybe, I don't know. And that will change the balancing of these Pokemon. Back when Megas were introduced, Z-moves and Mega Evolution were the only two things you could get, and while having a Z-move was nice, it wasn't making up for the fact that your opponent's Pokemon got a 100 base stat total boost. However, with Terrestrialization able to make Pokemon far more viable with type changes and boosts, and Dynamax just being incredibly broken on its own, having all four of these mechanics sitting in your party and maybe only being able to use one of them per battle would make battles a lot more interesting, because it would mean Megas are not only going up against other Megas, but they're going up against Pokemon that may have these other gimmicks going for them as well, which is really, really interesting. Because suddenly, if your opponent's Pokemon terrestrializes and attacks you with something really powerful, or Dynamaxes and your attack doesn't KO and you suddenly get hit by a max move, your Mega Evolution may not be as broken as it was in Generation 6 and 7. I'm a big fan of Megas, I love the way that they work, but when I was playing Generation 6 and 7, I wasn't playing competitive Pokemon, and this had a massive impact on competitive Pokemon, so the fact that competitive Pokemon seems to be moving over to Champions next year, or at least by 2027, means that we will probably have a more balanced dynamic, and the fact that Legends ZA is not playing by main series battle mechanics means that Megas may actually be much more enjoyable and far less divisive than they were in the past. What do you guys think though? Do you think this is a net positive or net negative for Mega Evolution? What changes would you like them to implement regarding Mega Evolution, and what Mega Evolution Pokemon are you most hoping are coming up in Legends ZA? Let me know down below in the comments, and leave a like if you liked the video, make sure to subscribe, and as always, see you next time.